Hello viewers, welcome to CodeForAny. Fruit Market Node.js inside today we need to develop this here the admin sites API for the adding here the fruits, dry fruits, vegetables and other categories items we need to adding here. We need to complete items need to add inside the divided into three or four API to complete one items adding here. Like here the first API inside maybe need to manage this here the item image item detail item descriptions related information to save. Second part inside we need to defining this here the price related, and third parts inside we need to managing this here the nutrition informations about the these added items. We need to managing like this three parts inside convert this API into one API, not making here, so we need to making for here the three parts inside the converting here the API. First of all, we need to go here and we need to write down here the new admin API for the adding here and to call this here the multi-parts API we need to develop here, because this API inside we need to uploading here the items image. That's why I need to need this here the multi-parts API we need to needs. Now how to create here the form data API, need to write down here the app dot post, and we need to write down here app dot slash API inside slash like here's admin, and to give this here the item add like here's, and we need to set this here the request response like to call this here. And now need to developing this here the API, need to print this here the body request dot, we need to write down here the delogs, and to print this here the request dot body like here's. We need to create here, now need to draw here the form, write down here the form variables, need to declare here the form variables is equal to, need to declare here the new multi-party, and need to get this here the forms methods we need to calls and to declare here these variables like this. Now need to pass this here the form, two dots need to write down here the parse, and we need to give this here the request objects, and then after need to three parameters need to call back here the gets here. First one is the errors, second one is the response object, and third one we need to get this here the file details file list like here. We need to get this callback here, and we need to setting here like this data. Now then after we need to check here gets any errors for this API, then to throw this here the errors HTMLs, throw HTML errors, and to write down here errors and to response and to terminate this API calls for the errors. Then after we need to check this here the access tokens, we need to call this here the request dot headers, we need to pass here. Then after we need to set this here the response, if here valid, then to get this here the user objects we need to get verify here this access token, if not very unauthorized access we need to returning this here and terminate this education stalls. Now if you assumes here the verified, then to get click like this function calls need to get here. Now need to check this here the parameters helpers dots, we need to call this here the check parameters valids, and we need to write down here the response objects, give this here the request objects, and to check required parameters we need to give this here the parameters names we need to pass here. First of all we need to say this here the database columns, we need to which information we need for these items. First of all the main categories like here the dry fruits and vegetables, which category, if you give this here the more category adds main than to related to this. And then after selected here the subcategory, which subcategory here the category may be possible here the subcategory many availables, that's why I need to multiples here the subcategory item name item descriptions image like this we need to information, so we need to save inside this API. Now we need to one by one, so we need to put this here the parameters. First of all we need to give this here the main image underscore main categories like here main cat like here, then after the cat ID like here, then after we need to give this here the item name means here the fruit names like this told, and then after we need to give this here the descriptions of the items. We need to set here the description columns like here put this here the descriptions, need to set like this here for the verify this here the request objects, if here the valid is then to return this here the blank callbacks functions we need to returning here. And again we need to check this here the image are also required, that's why I need to check here the parameters valids. We need to give this here the request, and to give this here the files, and to check this here the parameters, and to give this here the image. If here valids or found this here the image parameters, then this callbacks are is the valids. If you not found, then to missing this here the files, need to need to returning this here the message, need to missing parameters image, need to return this here the response. Now we need to save inside here the public folders. We need to go is inside image, and we need to create here the new folders, and to give this name here the items. Like need to set here the items folders. Inside we need to all item related symbols images we need to save inside these tables. Now need to create here the extensions. We need to need here first of all we need to extract this here the extensions. We need to write down here the functions. In many projects we need to again we need to write here the files. Then after need to get this here the parameters names as an image. Need to pass this parameter, need to image inside to get this value, need to check here the zero index value, and we need to get this here the original image file names. We need to get here original file names like two gets, and we need to substring to get this here the extract this here the extensions. Again so need to use this here this file names originals like this puts, and to get this here the last index of need to get here the last index of dots value, need to getting here like here, and plus ones because need to need this here the also dots, need to remove here. That's why I need to give this like this value, and we need to semicolons and terminate these functions like here. Then after need to give this here the image file names. We need to set here is equal to need to write down here, and we need to set this here the items like here's for the items table folders. Need to give this here the name, and we need to concat this here helper dot, need to call this here the file generates methods, need to call here, and to give this here the extensions like value need to pass here. Now need to create here the save path is equal to new paths, need to write down here is equal to need to set here the image save path. We need to find out here the image path here, and we need to merge with here the image file names like here. We need to set this here. Now file extensions need to call here, and to give this here the define this here the required tabs, and to directly use this here the files, and we need to give this here the rename functions need to call here like here. We need to set here files, and we need to set this here the image set here 0, and then after we need to give this here the path, and give this here the new path parameters need to pass here, and we need to get this here the if here errors callback events for the saving like here. We need to get this here if we need to get here the error parameters means here this calling this here the errors helper dot throw html errors, and return this here the response, and to execute it the returns like this. Else parts we need to execute here. We need to write down here the db query, and we need to save this here the all record informations need to set here. Now need to go inside here the database, and to select this here the sql tabs insert query, need to use here remove this here the item id like here, and we need to also remove this here the status needs here columns created dates and modified dates need to remove here. Now need to count of the columns 1 2 3 4 5 6 columns need to needs, and now need to set this here the 6 question marks need to configure here, give this here the comma like here. So need to copy and paste is good, quick, need to response, cut this query, and we need to paste here for this query. We need to write down like here. Now we need to pass this here the one by one parameters. Now we need to this is the form data, always need to get this here the array of value need to get, that's to always need to get this here the first index of value need to getting here like this need to give, and give this like 0. Then after we need to give this here the category id, we need to set here the cat underscore id, and index of 0 value need to take here. Then after we need to set this here the item names configurations. We need to set here. Need to request object item name. Set here the 0 index of value. Then after request object dots need to give this here the description column. We need to set here the informations like here. So need to parsing this here and to index of 0 value need to pass here. Now need to give this here the image path. Need to give this here the image names, and then after the status is equal to inactive need to set here the 0 because this is the item information is done not it totally false. Need to setting here, that's why need to inactive states need to set here because need to nutrition's value also price related information is not saving, that's why need to inactive state inside set this here the these items. Now need to if here the returning this here the query result need to get here the errors and results need to getting here for this response like here. Now need to check against here the get any errors like here, then to call executions like this here if get this here the errors and the response returning this here. Now we need to check here if result like here else part, so need to call here response JSONs and we need to pass this here the value and we need to set this here the status, need to set here the 0 and message. If not save, then to set this here the MSG fails response we need to returning here and to response dot JSON like here. Set here need to set here the status and we need to set here the one and need to give this here the message like here, and we need to set this here the message item added successfully like this message. We need to returning these servers and to return this here the server response. This response inside not providing here the any informations related to payloads, always need to refresh this here the items is before is good. And if you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any questions, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.